All right, it looks like it's right on the hour. We will get started on time. If people keep trickling in, they'll be able to watch the recording. But welcome and thank you for joining us today for our monthly webinar titled Outdoor Adventure Program, Empowering People with Parkinson's. If you haven't met me already on one of our previous presentations or mediums, my name's Joy Cochran, and I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I also own a company called Joy Explorations, and I'm the clinical evidence specialist and master trainer for urban polling. I'm very passionate about working with people with Parkinson's and educating people on all things Parkinson's. So today's very exciting for me. And I feel like I've been very blessed this last year. I was able to go to the Parkinson's Wellness Recovery Retreat in Arizona earlier. And then earlier this month, I was at the WPC, which is the World Parkinson's Congress in Barcelona, which our presentation is about today. Both events really fill my tank with meaning. They provide lots of ideas for me, and they really fill me full of hope. So with that being said, today's presentation is really going to be me reminiscing about my trip to Barcelona earlier this month for the World Parkinson's Congress. So I hope I can relay how exciting and eventful it was. We're going to start with a deep dive into the poster presentation that I presented on outdoor adventure, created to empower people with Parkinson's to take control of their Parkinson's and really delay its progression by getting back out and into their communities. We're going to discuss what else urban polling was doing and involved in at the World Parkinson's Congress. And then we're going to discuss a topic that gets brought up a lot, and that is how to travel with your activator poles. So my vision for the program really started out as a clinician. I'd be in the clinic. I know all the research behind how important exercise is for people with Parkinson's. I would see them get better. Even though it's a progressive disease, they were not only maintaining, but they were getting better in the clinic. But as we all know, that Parkinson's doesn't stop after an episode of care in the clinic. And I was seeing really some barriers for my clients after discharge in regards to getting back into their communities. And those barriers really looked like limitations. And sometimes they were limitations that the actual person was placing on themselves. Maybe it was barriers that their family and caregivers were putting on them. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's even healthcare providers that put barriers on people that have a diagnosis of Parkinson's. And it was really frustrating to me because I saw the potential in all of my clients. So my vision was really to try to figure out how we can implement and get people back out into their community and being as active as they want to be. So the vision was specifically for this project was to increase awareness and access for people living with Parkinson's in my local rural area, which is in Wisconsin. At the time, there was no individual exercise group community exercise programs in our area. There had been one previously before COVID, but it had never gotten started back up again. And it was only 1 day a week. So thankfully, I found out about the Parkinson's Foundation community grant program. And so through my company, I was able to apply and get a grant supported by the Parkinson's Foundation and their community grant program. So exercise is medicine for people with Parkinson's. Why is that? Let's just talk about some of the reasons that it's so important to make sure that people with Parkinson's are actually getting out there and being active and staying active. One is the social interactions. They can be motivating to be around other people that present like them, or at least they have something in common a lot. We always say that if you've met one person with Parkinson's, you met one person with Parkinson's, just because everybody has such different symptoms. But knowing that you have the same diagnosis, you can really lean on people. And I think that's really encouraging and motivating. And it's engaging to be able to maybe have a coach that helps to guide you in regards to and empower you in regards to what you really should be doing. We know that exercise can improve non-motor symptoms. So fatigue and sleep, mood and depression, constipation, all of those things have been proven to get better if we exercise. Number three, exercise is medicine because it helps to delay the progression or even improve motor symptoms of people with Parkinson's. So I have seen, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that we're not just trying to fight Parkinson's and this degenerative disease to maintain. I have seen people get so much better just by implementing medicine into their daily routine that it's really something that needs to be done on a regular basis and really hit home for people. And that might be their tremors. I've seen it help with rigidity, their posture, making bigger movements, helping with their balance and freezing, just to name a few. Exercise can also help with fall prevention. So we're looking at how can we increase those stepping strategies? How can we decrease shuffling? How can we walk on various surfaces? And how can we get on and off the ground, right? All of those things can help decrease the fear of falling, and just having an increased fear of falling increases your fall risk. And last but not least, neuroplasticity, right? So we need that brain change through intensity, salient, and skilled exercise. Neuroplasticity and neural networks are really what we need to look at. So increase the intensity for the brain to be able to change and reorganize that wiring. People with Parkinson's lack the dopamine that's necessary, and so they start making those smaller or absent movements. And then what happens is that there's a learned non-use going on. The whole quote, if you don't use it, you lose it. But people that are exercising and that are more fit have better connectivity, and their brains are better able to learn. So people with Parkinson's that make exercise habitual, they have a more robust dopamine system, right? So they are more connected, better able to learn, and being able to do more normalized exercises and have decreased compensatory strategies. I think this really solidifies it. Dennis was a member of the initial Parkinson's pack, and this testimony that he has really hits on almost all 5 of those exercise recommendations. So he says, each week we went to a different park, which expanded our knowledge of the area and along the way helped us to bond with our fellow classmates. Our group comes from a variety of backgrounds. Parkinson's disease does not discriminate. And I've learned a lot about Parkinson's from their experiences and also exercises to deal with the various difficulties we each face. Joy challenges us to work harder in her upbeat and enthusiastic way. Although some people do call me a drill sergeant, but I take that title with a grain of salt and actually as a badge of honor. He says, I stand up straighter, I can walk faster and further, and most of all, know that I can continue to enjoy the activities I've done throughout the years. I look forward to seeing my Parkinson's family, and I know that I won't do as much or learn as much if I did it on my own. So as an instructor, the very first day I met him, he was very reserved, very flat affect, not really wanting to participate. And now every day he comes with a huge smile on his face. And at the end, he's always like, that's awesome. We did great today. So this is a picture on the left of Dennis, and that is his wife. And she comes and participates with us every single class as well. So really, as a physical therapy background, I'm interested in the science, right? So I want to make sure that I'm creating a program that has the evidence behind it. So I turned to the Parkinson's Foundation, who in 2020 got together with the ACSM, or the Academy, the Academy of Sports Medicine, along with 34 other Parkinson's experts to accumulate recommendation on what exercise should look like for people with Parkinson's and a community aspect. So they came up with 150 minutes of moderate to high intensity activities, which should include aerobic activity, strength training, balance, agility, and multitasking, as well as stretching. They even break it down further for fitness professionals to talk more about what should the aerobic exercise look like? What should the strength training look like? Balance exercises. What should you be doing and really focusing on to get that multitasking and agility in there, as well as flexibility? So they really help you to dose it, as well as to look at the intensity and know how many times a week that you should be doing it. I will try to post at the end of this. If you guys are not familiar with the Parkinson's Foundation, I'll try to post the link, but if you just Google Parkinson's Foundation exercise recommendation, you'll be able to get that great flyer. This flyer right here is specifically for people with Parkinson's. I hand it out at almost every single one of my classes, all the workshops that I do. And this one's more specifically if you are an exercise professional therapist or instructor wanting to get in to start teaching specific Parkinson's classes, they break it down and give you more detail, and it's a really great guide to go off of. I also pulled from the Physical Therapy Association's clinical practice guidelines. So what they did was they got a group of clinicians together with a neurologist and pulled all of the research that was out there in regards to exercise and created this systematic review to really try to pinpoint what we should be doing for the best clinical practice for our people with Parkinson's. And so the evidence shows really high recommendations for that aerobic exercise, gait training, resistance training, balance training, external cueing, task-specific training, and really making sure that they are getting into that community-based exercise program. And the other thing that they talk about here is best practice. So trying to get a team around you, if you are a person with Parkinson's, that has Parkinson's experience. So maybe a movement disorder specialist, a physical therapist that has some extra qualifications, and getting into a community class that really has some specific background in regards to making sure that they are targeting what needs to be targeted for those people with Parkinson's. So from there, I created my proposal to for my grant, and it looked like this. I wanted to do a 12-week program that met 2 times a week. We would meet outside as much as possible. I just feel like like I said, getting out into the community is huge. Being able to get out into nature, there's some huge benefits and effects to that. I also wanted to look at using the activator polls for the majority of the time. They are evidence-based, and we will get into a little bit some of the more specific reasons why I wanted to include the activator polls. 1 time a week, I wanted to make sure that we were most specifically looking at exercise-based programs. So we did a lot of interval training, circuits, those kind of things. But then 1 time a week, we would meet at a different location, and we would either go hiking or we would play games such as kickball, those kind of things. I also made sure I was doing a lot of Parkinson's education. I feel like a lot of my clients come to me and they're like, yep, I got the diagnosis, but I don't really know what that means. I'm scared. I don't know where to go in order to find more information. So I really feel it's important to not only provide them education on the exercise, but also on where to find resources for nutrition, where to find resources in all things Parkinson's. So, and there's a lot of great ones that are out there. And in order to be able to see whether this class was going to be successful, I created some outcome measures for that would be looked at pre and post class. So each person met with me individually before the class started. There was about 10 assessments, and I would meet with them, see what their goals were, and go over things individually and specifically with them. And then at the end, we also did 1 extra post assessment. So we went through all of the outcome measures that were collected on day 1 to really compare and see what got better. So some of the outcome measures that I created were things that I really thought we would address in this class. So fine motor skills, we looked at the 9-hole peg test. Cognitively, we did the trail making A and B. Strength training, we did some grip strength. I looked at a 60-second sit to stand. I knew I wanted to look at core strength because we talk about that a lot when using the activator polls. So we did, for ease of use, we did a plank. Aerobically, we did the 6-minute walk test. For agility and coordination, we looked at the 4-square step test. And functionally, and for fall prevention, we did a 10-meter walk test, and we did the stand prone stand test. That was about all of them. And then I provided surveys at the end to just get some feedback so that I could make the class as good as possible for any upcoming sessions. So why did I want people to exercise with the activator poles? Well, it's an evidence-based tool, so that's one. There's also 18 specific articles on the benefits of Nordic walking for people with Parkinson's, so that's another huge one, right? But the activator poles were specifically designed by an occupational therapist and gerontologist to create a safe and comfortable tool that allows them to push themselves outside of their comfort zone. So the confidence that it provides, right? We are getting outside and we're on uneven surfaces. The ability to have those 2 extra points of contact, or what some people call that 4-wheel drive, is huge in regards to having more confidence in what they're doing and making sure that they're not falling. The poles can promote larger movements. If they have the confidence that they have the balance that they need, they'll be able to make bigger movements. And it really encourages them to try harder activities. So maybe jumping or doing a single leg stance to be able to do kickball. And I know that from the research articles that are out there that the poles help improve their posture. It normalizes gait patterns. So really for my people with Parkinson's, getting that larger arm swing, getting some trunk rotation to get rid of some of that rigidity, and really more symmetrical stride lengths. I wanted to look at them and use them for strength and power to be able to do a full body workout. So be able to actually engage the core, upper extremity, have them be able to do some of those more powerful movements such as jumping, skipping, and be able to increase that aerobic capacity, knowing that we need to, in order to get that dopamine producing, we need to get up to that 70 to 90% heart rate max. They also provide external cueing, and sometimes that helps for people in regards to that, making sure that they're getting that arm swing. Sometimes it is an external cue in order to be able to step to the pole or look at the pole when you're doing this. It allows for some visual tracking for people that have some difficulties with being able to have some dizziness or things like that. And really it adds an extra challenge for coordination, agility, and multitasking. And we'll get into that a little bit later. And lastly, it provides a fun and dynamic and a little bit different view or exercise than what they're normally used to doing. So what did the programming look like? Like I said, 1 day a week, we were in the same park every single week, and we would do circuits or yeah, pretty much we did circuits. So we would create, sometimes it would be more focused on strengthening, sometimes it would be more focused on balance, sometimes it would be more focused on flexibility, sometimes it was a combination of all, so it would bring high and low intensity. As you can see here, I apologize, looks like it's a little bit blurry. I copied it from my actual poster, but we did things such as dual tasking exercises. We were definitely doing fall prevention exercises, coordination. And then 1 day a week, we would pick a different park every single time to do some more of those fun or games or hiking. So we have some really great state parks and trails in our areas. So we would go hiking and increase the intensity where maybe we had some increased hills as we went along and progressed. Sometimes it was longer distances. We did kickball. We played track and field. We went to the playground and just played on the playground. We did some basketball. So not everything entitled or included poles, but a lot of the things did, especially at the very beginning. Here's just some great pictures of people, like I said, really encouraging using the poles to have the confidence to maybe have that single leg stance to be able to play kickball. We got out on the playground and you can see how much they were enjoying it. And it was a pretty big challenge. So they were concentrating a lot. We got down on the ground in the sand and did a lot of obstacle courses. And then we also played games, tic-tac-toe, like I said, and just a lot of pretty much trying to think of what you used to have fun doing when you were younger, or brought to me by suggestions or ideas of what they wanted to do. So I'm really just getting them out there and experiencing the community again. I'm going to pull out Cheryl as a case study to talk about. She was actually diagnosed and she was a member of the original program. She started seeing me, though, about a year or two before the program on a one-on-one basis and only one time a week. She came to me and said she was diagnosed in 2010. Her original symptoms were handwriting, hand spasms, tremors, and toe curling were the biggest issues. She was a retired nurse, so she had some experience in the healthcare industry and knowing about Parkinson's, but minimal exercise. She had been walking, but she stopped because it was hot and the person that she was walking with had quit. The symptoms that were really impacting her daily life was that she had recently fallen 2 times in the last month. One was on stairs and one was bending over in her garden, which is a huge part of her enjoyment. She has tons and tons of flowers and really enjoys going out and being in her yard. She has dyskinesia, or those involuntary movements. She had some rigidity, decreased endurance, and she was starting to notice that she was leaning forward a lot. Her left side started to drag and it delayed to start. She was having difficulty turning in bed, and she's now only driving locally because she didn't feel as safe going out. And I actually met her at a vendor fair. She came with her daughter and she really didn't want to start seeing me. Her daughter really encouraged it. She didn't really necessarily think that she needed it. So when we started, like I said, it was one time a week and it was in her home. These are just some of the results from training. She originally told me that she is not a group exercise person, that she would never join a class. So the 2 scores on the left-hand side are scores from when we were working one-on-one. So 30-second sit to stand test went from 10 to 14. She had a single leg stance test that actually got better. Her stand prone stand test got better. And her 6-minute walk test, I unfortunately didn't do in April of 2022. But the 8/4 of 22 is when we started this actual Parkinson's PAC class. So from that working with her originally, she got the confidence to be able to come and participate in a group class. And you can see that now we're working out 2 days a week, and I know she's working out on her own. And even though she had been working out with me already, she still made huge improvements once starting the class and getting involved in the class. She is one of the leaders. She now talks to, is an encourager for everybody in the class, and she actually will help lead some of the exercises when we're doing them. She's definitely grown and blossomed from being in the class. But again, we were originally doing 30-second sit to stands. We moved that up to 60-second sit to stands. Her single leg stances stayed about the same. I don't test her out to see how long she can go past the 30 seconds. But even her stand prone stand test is gotten better from when we were working one-on-one. And her 6-minute walk test continues to improve. So one of Cheryl's testimonial is that since starting, I am stronger, have increased endurance, and improved my balance. I am able to do things that I never thought I could do again, such as spin a hula hoop, ride a recumbent bike, play basketball and kickball. And I really enjoy urban pulling and hiking, because it gets her out into areas that she hadn't been in before, is what she told me. She's not had any falls, and exercise has also helped her stress levels. I'm living better with Parkinson's. So the results of my class, I really feel like it was beneficial. And I've actually had a second class since then. And the 12 weeks was great, but I had to modify some of the people in my second class. And they even showed improvements after 6 and 8 weeks. So just some assessments from this original class. 11 people started and 10 finished. All participants showed improvement in 4 or more outcome measures. 80% of the graduates still remain active today, and that's over 6 months post-program. And 100% reported increased knowledge of Parkinson's and had fun. I am so proud of this class. They are troopers. Like I said, they jokingly or seriously, whatever you want to say, call me the drill sergeant. And I just got a hat the other day. I wish I would have brought it in here that says that. But they know that being together as a group, they've really bonded and been able to accomplish things that they wouldn't accomplish on their own. So again, I've seen improvements in their strength, in their endurance, dynamic balance, in their confidence and their mood. Really, some of them, like the 60-second sit to stand test, 7 out of 10 improved or maintained from the beginning. And 7 out of 10 scored at a healthy age gender norm, which is huge, right? So all of these outcome tests that we looked at have lots and lots of data behind them. For those of you that aren't familiar with outcome measures, they have tons and tons of data behind them. And sometimes people are comparing the outcome measures to other people with Parkinson's, but sometimes we're comparing them to what are healthy individuals at this certain age and maybe sex looking at. And so what I'm saying is that 7 out of 10 scored at healthy age gender norm. So not comparing them to other people with Parkinson's. Their gait speed, which is considered the 6th vital sign, right? So gait speed is huge in regards to making sure that you're staying independent, being able to go out to your community, not having hospitalizations and morbidity. It's all looked at and correlated with any of those things. So we want to make sure that we hit that sweet spot or better in regards to gait speed. And 8 out of 10 of them improved with and all 10 of them actually scored with greater than a 1.0 meter per second, which is what we're looking for in order to be able to have that great gait speed and be able to cross the road or be able to do some of those things that you want to make sure that you're able to do. Stand prone stand, right? So people are standing, they get down onto the belly, they stand back up again. I've already referenced how being able to safely get on and off the ground reduces fall risk. 7 out of 10 improved with their time doing that. And 6 out of 10 performed in less than 10 seconds, which is kind of the guide of what we're going for. When I was looking at 6-meter walk test and the 9-hole peg test, 90% of the participants improved. And so one of the exercises, people are like, fine motor skills, but really being able to grasp that handle. And we would work on fine motor skills because being able to push that pin lock and adjust it up and down is something that is really important for people. So kind of just a recap on what we just talked about is that when I started the class, we were using the activator poles specifically to add confidence. So we were using the activator technique, right? Once we started going through the class is that people progressed. And now most of the people in our class are using the poles as a fitness tool. So we've switched the bottoms to the booties and been able to really increase the intensity. I didn't go over this earlier, and I probably should have, but for people that are not quite as familiar with our poles, just a few key features in regards to what some of those safety features are that make our poles different than other poles that you're going to see out there. Our poles have a ledge on them that, let me get a pair. Our poles have this special patented ledge. And so your hand will rest right on top of that. So it provides security and safety. It also, if you gently push down on it, it activates your core and your upper extremity muscles. And the other thing that it could potentially do for people is that it could help offload joints if you have painful knees, back, and things like that. So it helps to increase activity tolerance by having this ledge right here. The other key feature that I really like about the activator poles is that it has this pin lock button. And what happens is once we get it locked into place, it's not going anywhere, where a lot of other poles require people to have the grip strength to be able to lock it into place. And if they don't have that, or if they have arthritis and it really hurts their hands to do those fine motor skills, then if it doesn't get locked into place, then it collapses. So this pin lock is huge. And then the other is that the activator poles come with, like I was just commenting on, we started with the activator technique. So we had this big surface area flat, what we call bell bottoms on there, so that they could have more security and more stability with the poles. Now, as we progressed, we took the bottoms off and switched them to what we call booties. And our booties look like this, but they provide a little angle so that we could change the technique that we were using and allow them to help propel us forward so that we were getting more of an intense activity. I apologize, I had some pictures at the beginning and I forgot to touch base on that earlier, but if you go to our website, you'll be able to see specific pictures about the activator poles and the booties there. And one last testimonial in regards to the poster presentation that I did. This is the last person from the group. His name's Gary. You worked us pretty hard on Friday. My phone showed 2.2 miles, way more than I thought I could or would be able to do. Thanks, because it's making me stronger as I go on this Parkinson's journey. So really, I think this speaks volumes to making sure that when you're creating a program or getting involved in a program, that you're trying to make sure that you are making it Parkinson's specific and using the evidence that's out there. There are a lot of exercises that have already been researched. There's rock steady boxing, there's power moves, there's yoga and Tai Chi, and those are all great. And they have some evidence behind them in regards to being able to help people with Parkinson's. What I was really trying to do was make sure that I was utilizing all of the evidence in regards to making sure that we are using external cues and the intensity that we needed to do something a little bit different. So that would be really functional and really improve their quality of life so that they could get back out and be more active with their family or friends and make sure that they were able to do the activities that they love. But really, it's about finding what person enjoys and making sure that they are doing that for their form of exercise. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about what else we did at World Parkinson's Congress. And I just want to say that, maybe we should stop there and talk about the poster presentation. I just saw somebody raise their hand. So I will take questions before we move into the rest of the presentation. So no, there are other people on the webinar. There's about 50 of you, Nita, but if you want to unmute yourself, I can answer any questions that you have. No? All right. Then I will move on. Does anybody else have any questions? They can either put them in the chat or unmute themselves. Okay. Well, I'm going to move on. So when I was working the booth, we had a booth at the World Parkinson's Congress, and there's a lot of things that I observed. One was that it was amazing to be at a conference that also included actual people with Parkinson's. As a healthcare professional, I go to a lot of conferences, and a lot of them are just for healthcare professionals. So being at the World Parkinson's Congress and actually having people there with Parkinson's was super amazing. And one of the things that was so awesome was that people would just stop by our booth and be like, hey, we have the activator poles. I love them. And they would give us these stories. So I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of one person here that actually did that. Oh, maybe. There we go.
Using this, pushing down, gets to your core, and you no longer go like that, and you're walking, you go straight up.
Like I said, that was only one example. I originally said, okay, I'm gonna get videos of everybody so we can get everybody's testimonial, but there are so many people at our booth and so many of those stories that I just couldn't keep up with them. But we also met some new friends. And so this next one, she's gonna talk about how she uses poles, but she purchased a pair of activator poles. She's gonna tell you why. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
You just ordered some poles.
I did. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you to have them when you get home. I took these poles out of your hands, right? Can you tell us the difference and why you chose to purchase our poles?
I love this ledge right here. And they just feel really sturdy and they won't collapse.
Yes. You were just telling me about the confidence piece of it as well.
Yes. Some people look at me and they don't think I have Parkinson's if I'm just standing there and I try to walk it. It just gives me the confidence to be able to go.
That is an amazing story, and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
I'm excited to get my poles.
Excellent. You'll have to reach out to me when you get them and send a picture and all the places that you're going with them.
I will do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of the conference. So it was a little loud at the conference, but if you couldn't hear her, she pointed out that the ledge really adds a lot of confidence for her to be able to have that hand resting on that. And she also liked the fact that it had the pin lock button because her poles will gradually over time start collapsing because she had a clip lock. We met some other really great friends that, or I personally got to meet in person, some other friends that have been with urban pulling for a long time, like Larry Gifford and Sharon of Twitchy Women, and we're going to hear from them a little bit later. But yeah, that was, working the booth was amazing because I got to hear so many great testimonials. We also talked to people that were interested in the poles that maybe were using other assistive devices. And so we were able to get this great side-by-side in regards to the difference between what a cane looks like and what our activator poles look like. So for me, with the cane, he's a little asymmetrical, right? So the poles allow him to get more upright and symmetrical with each step length. His trunk control looks better when he has the poles in his hands. He has a much better arm swing and a smile on his face, which is what it's all about, right? All right, one of the other fun things that we did there was go on a group walk one morning. And so we met outside at, I think it was at 7. And so next time I'm going to be more aware that people told me that 7 was way too early at a conference like this. So it'll be a little bit later so we can get more participation. But it was just amazing to watch. Half the people here, 2 people had already had experience with the activator poles, and there were 3 people in our group that were new to actual urban polling. And so we did a quick little demonstration, warm up, and then we went for a walk. And organically, while we were walking, I was kind of in the back of just observing, in between me giving some instruction, but they would switch buddies along the way. So they were able to meet new people. And these were people from all over the world, right? So Michael on your left here was a gentleman that I was able to meet at the power retreat in Arizona that I was talking about. Tim, who, so then the next person is me, the person in the middle, his name's Tim. He's from Australia, and he's actually training for the Tuscany Trek for Shake It Up Australia, which is a not-for-profit helping to fund research for Parkinson's. This trek is going to be 54 miles or 86 kilometers over 5 days. And so he was really looking and excited about being able to use the poles to reduce some of that fatigue he's going to get and walk over those uneven surfaces that the Tuscany streets. Next to him is Sharon of Twitchy Woman. She is a huge, huge leader to change, to leading the charge to help people with Parkinson's. I was a guest on her actual web podcast, and she's been a guest on our podcast. So it was awesome to meet her in person. And then the gentleman on the right, he's actually a World Parkinson's ambassador. His name's Jeff. And he's going to talk to us in the next slide in regards to what he experienced that morning for our walk. There was one other woman that walked with us, and she was actually there and she was determined to get some poles because she wanted to be able to use them to walk the city streets and tour the city after the conference was over with. She does not have Parkinson's, it is her husband, but she also needed them for the stability and balance. So again, this is Jeff. I'm going to let him talk to you, and then I'll kind of do a recap of what he's saying, just because it might be a little bit hard to hear. With me today.
Pleasure. I'm really happy to have actually found you guys.
That's excellent. And you went on our walk with us this morning. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I went on the walk this morning just to try out the activator poles, particularly because I just completed the UK to Barcelona ride for WPC, and I was struggling with a little bit of neck strain and back soreness, and even the short walk this morning with the poles started to pull that out, and I thought that was amazing. I hadn't been able to do anything in 5 days to try and repair that. Yeah.
Great. I love hearing that. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't get over how loud I sound because the speaker's right next to me. I'm holding my phone and how not loud he sounds. But anyway, I know there was lots of background noise there. He commented, if you didn't hear, that he had just ridden the Bike to Barcelona, which brings awareness to Parkinson's and the World Parkinson's Congress, which was 14 to 18 days. He started it in the UK and biked all the way to Barcelona, and he is having some neck pain from that experience. And what he said was just by using the poles that morning, being able to kind of gently move the arms, get some trunk rotation going, it was helping to make his neck feel better. So let's talk about traveling with poles. Like I said, this gets brought up a lot in regards to, I can't carry them on in my carry-on bag, and will they fit in my checked bag? So just in general, our activator poles, our normal activator poles condense to 29 inches, and our activator 2 poles actually condense to 25 inches. So I always I majority of the time check my bag. I can get my activator poles into my checked bag. Sometimes people, what they need to do is pull them apart and put them in it as angle. And then it helps to be able to get them into that checked bag. I've also heard somebody tell me that, I can't remember, I think that they didn't fit on the top, but if they put them in first, then they fit into their checked bag. Just some ideas and suggestions if you're traveling with them. Now, for people that need them, you can carry them on. You can use them to go onto the plane. What that means is that through TSA, if you're using them as your assistive device, they should not be questioning you. I've tested this out myself and used them through TSA, and they've been very accommodating for me. But even people that use them are getting a wheelchair assist have told me that they have the wheelchair assist, but have their poles and let the people know that they're going to need them in order to be able to transfer from the wheelchair onto the airplane. But TSA, if you're using them as your assistive device, should not give you any hassle. What I will say, though, is that they will not allow you to just put them in your checked bag, they will not allow you to put them in your carry-on bag or have them attached to your backpack. So if you're not using them through TSA, they're probably going to make you check them. The other thing is that some people comment to me about how they don't collapse enough to be able to fit into their carry bag. If you're using them to carry them on, I know that they will collapse and fit in the overhead compartment. I've heard that. And I have actually collapsed them, my regular activator poles, and put them under the seat in front of me with my backpack. But if you are concerned, the activator 2s, like I said, definitely collapse down a little bit more. If you have any questions in regards to that, I'll answer them in just a bit. I just have 2 more testimonials in regards to using their activator poles, and then we'll dive into questions. So this is Sharon.
I bought them because we travel a lot and we go to exotic places, and I'm finding that, we're climbing up hills and we're on cobblestones, and I need something, but I don't want a cane. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty good walking, but it's just getting harder to get maneuver on some of these mountain hills, mountain trails and things. So I bought them really to take with me when I was traveling, so that
Okay.
it was just an assistive device. I didn't exercise with them. I do a lot of.
All right, and now we're gonna hear from Larry Gifford, who, if you don't know, he is the president and co-founder of PD Avengers. He is also does a podcast for the Michael J. Fox Foundation, as well as one other, Living Well with Parkinson's, I believe is what it's called. So let's hear from him. He was ever so nice. He was right next to us, and he came over and talked to me for a little bit.
Good. I got my pulse.
I love it.
Gives me confidence.
I love that. Has anybody stopped you and asked you about
Oh
it?
my God, everybody. What do you think of those pulls? They are tough.
I appreciate that.
They really are.
They, you're right. I heard that you were doing improv last night.
It was, yeah. We did a packed house of people, all people with Parkinson's doing improv. A little shaky, but it was all right.
I wish I could have been there, but next time you have to let me know.
For
Thank
sure.
you. Excellent. Can you tell me a little bit more about PD Avengers?
PD Avengers is a group, it's a global alliance of people with Parkinson's. Their families, and friends, their enemies, their care teams, it's for everybody. Nurses, home health care workers, social workers, whatever. We all need to be alive. We all need to be in alliance with each other as we try to end Parkinson's disease, make life better for those of us who have Parkinson's. It's free. You just go to pdavengers.com, sign up with an email in a month, which will help keep you informed of what's going on. You can talk to other people about Parkinson's. You'll be out to see really a grassroots level.
Oh, well, I just signed up 2 days ago, and I got my email. I do feel good about it.
Yeah.
I did notice that George went for a walk with us this morning. He is an ambassador, also a WPC ambassador, and he had a PD Avengers shirt on.
Well, can't go wrong there.
I know. Thank you so much.
And thanks for these polls. These are amazing. They're giving. I bought these polls 4 years ago, and I'm telling you what they do.
Okay, we'll do.
So not only do they give me confidence in my stride, I can actually beat my wife and walk with them.
Yes!
So I outpace her, and she tells me to slow down.
Oh.
Without them, I'm like a mile behind her. And then if it's crowded, I get a little anxiety. But these are good, so we can get on my way. And because I'm headed on set, people don't think I'm sick. So if I need to get on a bus or a train, these give me a seat. So
Nice.
it's like a ticket to the handicap. Otherwise, you have these stand because they got around the girl, people tell you, or they think I'm drunk. Either way, they're not giving me a seat. But I really love these. They keep me active with my 14-year-old. We love the weekends because otherwise, my legs, she's trying to keep up on my without holes. So I stop running my phone.
So I think I've heard this multiple times today, that sometimes some of the younger people with Parkinson's, if they don't have the poles with them, people don't necessarily know they have Parkinson's, right? And so that doesn't change the fact, though, that they have anxiety and some stress about being able to get out into their community and walk around. And so the polls do multiple things for them. One, add confidence, but two, it allows other people to know that they might need some additional assistance, some additional space, maybe a chair. So they can really provide they can provide a lot of different things depending on what the person actually needs. Like I said earlier, every single person with Parkinson's presents differently, has different needs, has different symptoms. And so I think the polls are very versatile in regards to helping address a lot of those. So before we dive into questions, one last thing, we have a live virtual urban polling instructor course coming up on August 19th. It's going to be amazing. And we also have a live activator course coming up in regards to our senior living emphasis. So if you are a healthcare professional or an instructor, I highly recommend either one of those courses. And so I just want to end with thank you very much for being here today. I know that there are people with Parkinson's on here, caregivers, care partners, and healthcare professionals. So I really hope that you learned something from today and I was able to guide you and provide you some information in regards to community classes. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. It's joy@urbanpolling.com. And with that, Rodrigo, if you don't mind helping me maybe with answer some of these questions, that would be great.
We have a
So-
question through our Q&A.
Yeah, okay.
It's from Lisa. She's asking, do you have any follow-up programming for your clients? Do they have to pay anything?
Yes, so from that grant program, it was a 12-week course. And part of the Parkinson's Foundation's community grant program is really trying to help people get their programs off the ground. But they're looking at making sure that the program that they're supporting is going to be sustainable. And so what I found it to be helpful with was that it actually proved to people with Parkinson's that it was impactful for them and that it had meaning and brought meaning to their life. So yes, now my class is a charged class. I charge for the class. And like I said, 80% of the participants are still participating. And so they saw the value in the class and now they're willing to pay for it.
And we just have two comments. Marlene is saying she's always use her polls and go through TSA and without no problem.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that.
And sorry, that's another one. Rosanna is just saying about the audio. She could not listen to the video. I'm sorry about that. The audio was some noise background. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm really sorry about that. I tried to do my best and I've actually bought speakers so that I can have them the next time when I'm doing some recordings. But I apologize. Hopefully I relayed most of the information through the videos verbally.
And Fiona is saying, thank you for the information. I teach
Thank you for being here.
activator post classes in the community and also teach people with neurological conditions, MS and PD, hoping to bring activator posts to this group.
Oh,
Very useful
awesome,
information.
Fiona. I'm glad. If you need anything, let me know. As anybody else, I'm happy to help provide suggestions. We have some resources that are out there, but thank you very much about being here. Oh, one other question, it looks like. Please elaborate about the booties and the biking or the hiking accessories. So the activator poles, like I said, come with that flat bottom, but you can buy the booties, right? And so the booties have a little bit of an angle. And instead of the activator technique, you want them keeping the poles perpendicular to the ground so they're straight up and down and provide more support. You put the booties on and you change it more to the urban polling or Nordic walking technique. So the poles are behind you at an angle and really being able to plant into the ground and propel you forward. And actually, I can get up and maybe demonstrate that. The other accessories that we have, those booties can be bought separately. So if you get the activator pole, then you can buy the booties separately. So your activators can actually go back and forth between being a stability pole and being able to use the urban polling technique with them. The other is that this is a sand basket. Okay, so the sand basket or the winter basket, I don't have any of those with me right now, I'm sorry. But they help to reduce the amount that they fall into either sand or snow or really, really moist like grass or something like that. So anything that's really, really soft that would allow the pole to sink into it, that's what these are for, is so that it doesn't go quite as far. And then I haven't mentioned today, but you can take the bottom off and it has a carbide tip. So sometimes this carbide tip is what you would want to use when you're in surfaces such as that. So gravel, sand, maybe if you're having to be on ice, we don't recommend just going out and walking on ice, but if you have to be on ice, this is going to provide a little bit more stability, just this carbide tip. But let me put on my booties and I'll show you the other technique. Can you see me okay, Rodrigo?
Yeah.
So with this technique, your hands are going to be down at your side and you're really going to keep your arms straight and your poles stay at an angle. And when that booty catches on the ground, it plants and helps to propel you forward. That's just a quick little demo. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question here if your courses are live or just online.
So those two courses that I just advertised are going to be live virtual courses. We do have an on-demand course, and I'm hoping to start bringing some live courses to different areas. Where are you at, Dawn? California. I would say that California is probably one of the first places that we'll probably start looking at. So we will be when that happens, we'll be announcing it on our website and through our social media and stuff like that. Stay tuned. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.